Hello, everyone, and welcome to Caregiver Chronicles. My name is Sarah, and I'm here with my husband, Jeremy.
Hello.
And this week, we are going to talk about a fairly hot topic, I would say, right?
Yes.
It's controversial.
It definitely is.
And it's actually a topic that is something we've been wanting to talk about for a little while, but it's also a topic that came up in conversation last night while we were camping. We were sitting with a group of family and friends at the campfire, and my dad, we were talking about autism because a lot of the people we were camping with don't have daily exposure or daily interactions with people on the autism spectrum. So when we're camping with Joey, sometimes in Remy, sometimes our friends have questions, and that's great. We welcome that. None of the questions were degrading or disrespectful or challenging me as a mom. The questions that were being asked were genuine questions like, how much support will he need in the future? What can you do? How can we help? What about this? How come we see more autism now? There was even a topic brought up on a person diagnosed with Asperger's that came up, and I educated them or spoke on the fact that Asperger's is being shied away from for a couple different reasons, and that's today's topic. Mostly is Asperger's and why we, not necessarily me and Jeremy, but the autism community, a large majority of the autism community prefers not to use that term Asperger's, and the reasons why. So, Jeremy is going to give you a history lesson.
I'm going to give you a history lesson plus a little family and pop culture lessons here for this one. This kind of came up. A lot of this came back up recently when Elon Musk hosted Saturday Night Live, and he identified himself as the first person with Asperger's to host Saturday Night Live, which more than likely isn't true. He may be the first person who had a genuine diagnosis of Asperger's or was on that front. Now, Asperger's used to be what was diagnosed for high-functioning autism. I have a nephew who, in the early 2000s, was diagnosed with Asperger's. Asperger's is no longer diagnosed. It has not been diagnosed since 2013. The scientific community moved away from using that as a diagnosis. Now, and then in 2019, a lot came out about Hans Asperger, the man who did the initial research that led to the term Asperger's. Now, he was a pediatric scientist during World War II in Austria. For those of you who don't know, Austria, because it had mostly been conquered by Germany, was fighting alongside the Nazis. Now, Hans Asperger was not a Nazi himself, but he did cooperate with the Third Reich to continue his research. And he found how many kids with mental disabilities and how they reacted to his research and his testing. And some of it went along fine. And then kids who were not higher functioning, the lower functioning kids wound up being sent to a clinic where, if they didn't die by a certain point, were euthanized. So it made his history very problematic, because a lot of his research has lended itself into pediatric care and child psychiatry that we still use today. But at the same time, do we want to be honoring a man who basically sent kids to their graves just because they had autism, even though at the time we didn't know what it was? So it has created a big controversy in there, specifically with the Elon Musk thing, because we now know about Hans Asperger's extracurriculars, shall we say. So, plus just removing the term Asperger's, as I said, was removed in 2013. that has created another form of debate, because some people are happy that it's all just listed as autism spectrum disorder because it leads to diagnostic consistency, while others argue people at different points on the spectrum need different types of, depending on the impact, need different types of treatment options or
Labels.
and everything like that. So they want basically a subdiagnosis like Asperger's was within the spectrum.
Yes. A side note on that too, something that I have heard people in the autism community say. I as a parent, if you listen to early episodes of this podcast, you know our two boys have very, 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 very different levels of need. My oldest son is in 4th grade. He's doing 7th grade math. He requires a lot less support than my 6-year-old who just learned to touch his nose a month ago. There's a massive difference between my two kids, and they both have the same exact diagnosis. And that is a hard thing to explain sometimes to friends and family when they're like, well, how do you know that Jeremy has this and Joey has it? Like, how can they both have the same condition and be so vastly different? And the truth is that autism affects people differently. There's a lot of controversy between the high functioning, low functioning labels. There's some controversy with levels, like level 1, level 2, level 3 autism. I've even heard Joey defined as classic autism by doctors, basically saying everything about Joey fits the scale, where Remy would be, again, if we still used the term Asperger's, he would be diagnosed with Asperger's, or something else. I'm not sure. So the question I have for you guys listening is, do you think we need these labels? Because I, as a parent, I think sometimes we need labels. I think to describe a level of intensity something is, or a level of, or an amount of what a person's needs or extent to their needs is, for someone to understand it, I think it's easier to say Joey is severe on the spectrum and Remy is high functioning. And I know a lot of people hate that, and it can be cringy, and it sounds like I'm saying one child has more needs than the other, and sometimes that is true, and sometimes it's not. It really just means, to me as a parent, it really just means that Joey requires a significant amount of support to get through the day, where Remy can usually get through the day sometimes fairly independently, as far as I say to Jeremy, okay, Jeremy, you're awake now. You need to get dressed, brush your hair, brush your teeth, and he can do those things. Where with Joey, I have to physically do all of those things for him. And even at 6, I could tell Remy to do those things, like get dressed, brush your teeth, comb your hair, and he was able to do them. And Joey is 6 years old, and he cannot do those things. At 6 years old, I could tell Remy, you go to pee, okay, go potty. I can't tell Joey that yet. He still doesn't understand that command. So I think we do need labels to describe. We need something to describe the levels of impact and severity.
I would agree with that. Now, knowing what we've learned about Hans Asperger, I'm A-okay with getting rid of Asperger's altogether.
Not people with Asperger's,
not
but
people
the label.
with Asperger's.
Yes, the label.
The label Asperger's. I'm A-okay with that. The one thing I will point out, and I pointed this out because I remember the controversy when Elon Musk said that, is that if at Elon Musk's age, and given what we know about the rigidity of people on the spectrum, it's going to be very difficult for an adult who was diagnosed with Asperger's to stop saying that they were diagnosed with Asperger's.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be accepting of them still using it to describe themselves. But we need to not use it so that it does eventually die out. I'm not, I don't want Hans Asperger honored, but at the same time, I know how difficult it is for Remy to handle changes to his routine. So, and the forcing a change like that on somebody who's been saying it basically since they were diagnosed, I don't think is necessary, because there's no harm in them identifying themselves as that when they've been identified as that their entire life.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing, is it also comes down to that. It comes down to the individual, or, the person who is doing the most advocating for the individual. What term, what words does that person feel most comfortable using? And this goes back to the diagnosis first versus person first, person with autism versus autistic person. You find the autism community, people in the spectrum are divided on how they refer to themselves or how they prefer to be referred to. And I sometimes don't know as a parent, how should I describe my child to somebody who's looking at him and saying, why is this child jumping up and down, flapping his arms and making funny noises? Or why is this child, biting a pacifier and jumping up and down? And realistically, I have to sometimes, usually people have a general idea that, okay, something's going on, but I've been asked what's wrong with him. I have, by people who've never seen Joey, like, what's wrong with him? It's not that there's anything wrong with him. I guess there is, because he can't talk. It's not his fault, but yeah. And it's a question that I take as a parent very lightly, because I don't always see it I don't know. It's a hard way to explain it. What's wrong? What's the matter? Why is he doing that? It's all kind of in the same realm. I take it as an opportunity to educate the person about what is going on with Joey, that Joey has autism. He is an autistic child. He does this to calm himself. He does this when he's scared. He does this when he's excited. I take that as an opportunity to educate, because if I just got mad at the person and said, no, that's not how you talk about them and that's not how you talk to me, I'm not really educating the person. I'm not opening that door for dialect. I'm closing it, and I'm making it harder for people to accept Joey into their lives. Where if I answer questions that sometimes seem ignorant, and I know it's with no fault. I've even had he doesn't look autistic, or he looks perfectly normal, and then and it's like, it's frustrating, and I know that they really do mean well, so to open that dialect and to have these conversations about how a person identifies, what word to identify with them, especially if they have, a different need or a different ability or cognitive difference, to open the dialect is so important, because this is how you get awareness and acceptance.
Yes, I said it is. The questions sound ignorant, mostly because the person probably is ignorant, and ignorance can be fixed with education. Ignorance is not a crime, but the more we educate people, the more they will know, and the more, and from what I've seen, the more compassion you're going to see from people, more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, another thing, when we had the conversation about Joey, he's still going through his sleep regression, which we'll talk more about in a later episode, but my dad said to a couple of his buddies who were camping near us, hey, you might hear Joey screaming in the middle of the night. We apologize now. Two of the friends that were with us said, you know what? There's no need to apologize. You can't apologize for something you can't control. And the little guy can't control that either. So, which was very heartwarming for me to hear that as a mom, and very kind. That meant a lot to me. it was an extension of support. And that's the thing is, if we didn't have the discussions about what it is and how prevalent autism really is in society, in different levels of functioning, and in a way to explain and describe these things to people who are not in my home every day, I don't know, it closes dialect. So I think we need to be a little more open with words. But again, I do agree with you on the Asperger's controversy about removing that title. I'm sure there's a better word we can come up with.
I'm personally perfectly fine with high functioning and severe. I know some people aren't. We do need some adjectives to describe where someone is on the autism spectrum because they have different needs. There's no one, it's a spectrum. There is no one end all be all way to help people on the spectrum, whether it be through therapies. God forbid, some of them do need medication. There's no one way to do it. So we need an adjective, multiple adjectives, depending on where someone falls on the spectrum. But we don't need Asperger's.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So that's actually pretty much it for this episode of Caregiver Chronicles. We wanted to bring this up because it is a hot button topic, and we have our feelings on it. And so you won't hear us use the term Asperger's often in this podcast. But you will hear us say high and low functioning, and we don't mean it disrespectfully. We mean it by high functioning requires less support or minimal support to get through the day. Low functioning requires significant amount of support. And you know, we don't mean those to be offensive, but we, like Jeremy said, we need these adjectives, we need these words to describe the levels and the amount, because to just say the word autism, there's just so many different things that can really mean to different people. And again, another autism quote that I love is, if you know one kid with autism, then you know one kid with autism. But with that, we are going to wrap up this week's episode of Caregiver Chronicles. You can find us almost everywhere. You can listen to us almost everywhere.
So many platforms. Platforms.
We are a member of the National Podcasters Association also. And if you have an opinion or something that you would like to point out to us on this topic, maybe educate us more, or if you agree with us or whatever, you can reach us at caregiverchroniclespod@gmail.com. If you're interested in becoming a guest on Caregiver Chronicles to talk more on this topic, we would love to have you on. Again, caregiverchroniclespod@gmail.com.
We're on Facebook at Caregiver Chronicles. We are on Instagram at Caregiver Chronicles 2, and we're on Twitter at CareChron1.
But yeah, definitely reach out to us on this topic. We'd love to hear your views, your stances, and you know, if there's better terms or words we could use, please come on our show and tell us and educate us, because we would love to hear it. Whatever we can do to make life better for everybody. That's kind of our goal. There's some really exciting things coming up with Caregiver Chronicles. Can't talk about all of them yet. And I also want to I did mention that we are a member of the National Podcasters Association, and I would love to say that we recently won a set of headphones from a contest they had, which is super exciting and will hopefully improve our podcasts. And you can check out our sister podcasts. I listened with my wife. I watched it with my wife. You can find all that on our website, withmywifepod.com. You can also check out our caregiver charts on Etsy, and you can get some lovely Caregiver Chronicles merchandise. We have masks, sweaters, shirts, autism shirts for autism moms, all through withmywifepod.com if you click on our shop. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.